Hello YouTubers, this is the Noobifier. This video actually began over 1 year ago when Olsen from Monster Tech mentioned that he'd be adding some 3D printed parts for his mounts. I was like, what? I had never seen anything 3D printed in person, and quite frankly at the time I thought that any part would be quite weak and break. I thought from an engineering perspective that printed plastic wouldn't be as good as aluminum and that it wouldn't survive. He sent me a storage wall mount and a pitch adapter to test out. My testing quickly changed my mind. The part stood up really well to what I would consider an unreasonable level of force, and I was truly impressed. Making YouTube videos is just one of my hobbies, and my desire to locally fabricate custom parts for the sim company Virtual set into motion a chain of events. We would get a 3D printer and operate it in my basement, we would learn CAD, and become familiar with some new fabrication techniques. None of this video is sponsored in any way by any company. I just thought it would be fun to talk about what I've been doing. Your choice of off-the-shelf printer is quite wide, with resin and polymer printers becoming very easy to source and affordable for the customer. We decided upon a Prusa Original Mark III's based on feedback from friends and our research. 2 months ago, I knew nothing about printers, so I'm not going to review it. However, it's done exactly what I expected. Its open source nature and very large community were also considered. Because I knew that printed parts take hours to days to print, and knowing how much my cats would like to mess with moving parts that have warm objects attached to them, I needed a safe place to operate this printer, and it needed to be secured behind a door. The back room is where I had my spares, workbench, and being the backside of my studio, it also had my main PC, which is remotely mounted out of the room to keep noise and heat away from the studio. It was an obvious choice, but the room wasn't finished, it was cluttered, and it was ugly. The near goal was now to renovate the room. My friend Kyle came over to bash out the framing, where the doors would be, and how to hang the ceiling. This room is going to be more of a lab than storage, so I also went big with the lighting. The back door of the new room leads to a very small utility room, which is floor-to-ceiling shelves with all my spares. I'm happy with the results. I was successful in creating a clean room without giving up any of my storage. The printer itself arrived in a small box, in parts, and I can describe the process of building it similar to building an RC car. You could pay more for a completed unit, but then you wouldn't understand how it works, and that won't help you when it needs maintenance. I believe that I have an above average comfort level with this type of thing. I broke it up over 2 days, and in total it took me about 6 hours. The instructions are very clear, the parts are grouped in bags, and it was easy to follow along. After doing some final checks and some more reading, I set off printing basic items that were included on the SD card. This printer works from an SD card independent of a PC, which is super convenient. The first layer height calibration is critical to ensure that the part beds down properly. This is the distance from the bed that the nozzle hovers over. If it's too close, the nozzle will drag on the surface and no material will come out. If it's too far, it'll drop material above the bed and nothing will stick. I also found that pre-warming for 4 minutes and operating the printer at half speed for the first layer ensured that every print stuck the first time. The flexible metal printing surface needs to be truly free of anything, so between prints, I pass an alcohol pad over the surface. Once every 20 times, I use Windex or acetone and then flip it. The filament comes in many types, with PLA and PETG as the two that I've tested. I found PLA very easy to work with, but it's said to be less structurally sound and less flexible. I might do a video in the future as I get a lot more experience about using different filaments. Prusa had a sale on Cyber Monday. Most of their rolls were $10 per kilo. Printed parts are quite light, so you can imagine that roll will last a long time. My plan today wasn't to go into full depth about any specific part of 3D printing, more of an overview, so I'm going to close out with a lightning round. You can make pretty much anything you can dream up in CAD, and/or someone has probably already made what you're looking for and posted it online. The slicer is a program that converts a 3D object into a format readable to your specific printer. The slicer is where you can fully dial in your project to add supports required for overhangs, adjustments to the scale on the final product, alter the print speed, and the level of detail. It's critical to your success that you set the project to match the filament used, or it'll likely fail. You can, and I've found Star Trek, Star Wars, and Star Citizen ships, which I won't link due to copyright concerns, but they're actually easy to find. It's important to keep an eye on things and perform basic maintenance. And like many things, you don't know that you needed one until you have it, and I'm very sorry for emptying your wallet all the time. That's it, short and sweet. Please stay tuned, as I do plan to do some more detail about more elaborate prints in the future, and I would love to take a stab at designing my own grips for controllers. Thank you very much for spending your time with me. Please feel free to comment or ask any questions below. Fly safe, and I'll see you in the verse.